All right, so let's start with it. You got the dirt on Alec Baldwin, right? What do you got for us on Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, I mean, poor guy, man. Like I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, no one should die filming a movie ever. That's just something that should never happen in today's world, right? Like you have like
It's
what?
it's not that important.
No, it's not worth a life, right? And
Yes.
so entertainment is great, but you see like Knives Out and what like not Knives Out. Yeah, Knives Out's a good movie, but like what's the other one with Keanu Reeves? And he just kills everybody in it. Why am I blanking?
John Wick.
John Wick. So
Yeah.
John Wick, I'm pretty sure there's been 0 deaths during it, right? I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we haven't heard about it. So,
You think?
how many people did he shoot during that movie? Is probably like
1,000.
75, maybe 150, So you got to have that stuff on lockdown, man. Like you can't fuck around with guns. I mean, I'm surprised that in armory, right, which is what they call it for movies. It's called armory or like the armor person. Why can't they just use guns that don't fire like a normal gun, right? Like you can't slip a normal bullet into it, right? Like can it? I mean, a CGI is one thing, and that kind of takes away from the authenticity of a movie. But like, why can't you fire a gun that cannot fire normal 9 mil or 40, 45 mil rounds? Why can't you make something that is just for movies, right? Where it can't kill somebody even if you accidentally switch it up. But so I wouldn't say I have dirt on him by any means. I would just say a lot has transpired. Obviously today or yesterday, I think it was today, they had formal charges against him. The DA filed formal charges against him. I guess he's looking at anywhere from 18 months to 5 years. I think for the families of those that lost their daughter, it's definitely not going to suffice, but it was an accident as far as I mean, like there's no reason that, Alec Baldwin's going around trying to kill his staff, right? Like it wasn't like there was no anticipated murder or anything like that. And there was no motive or anything like that. It was just an accident, but still an accident is an accident. It's like if you're driving down the street and you accidentally hit a kid, right? You're totally sober. Kid runs out in the street, you accidentally hit him or her, and you're still charged with involuntary manslaughter, right? Like it's a death. So they take it seriously. But yeah, man, this has been going on for about a year now, I think, or so, with his with this situation with this trial, or not trial, it hasn't even gone to trial yet, but they did finally convict him, which means they have enough evidence to convict. If a DA is going to take a trial, that means that there's something in there that they can focus on and leverage to convict. And so, I feel bad for all parties involved. I don't think anything was intentional, of course. But there was a lot of mistakes that were made. And that's the same kind of thing as saying like, hey, you drove drunk down the street and you hit somebody, right? That was a mistake. Did you intentionally hit them? Of course not. But you still have to be held liable and responsible for your actions. So that's my 2 cents, dude.
Yeah. I mean, if you're drunk, obviously it's a different story, but you shouldn't be driving drunk. But so it's probably worse. But yeah, my take on it is it's kind of fucked up take, but it's like I just don't really like Alec Baldwin to begin with. And he just seems kind of like a dick. You know what I mean? With that being said, if he didn't, obviously I don't think that he intentionally did it. It was an accident. Well, like you said, why are they even having guns that can kill people on the set? That makes no sense to me. I don't know if it was a real gun or if it was a fake gun where
obviously it was a real gun.
Well, no, but I thought I might have heard that like I've even heard that like with if you remember like the Crow, the guy who was in the Crow died, but it actually was like it wasn't a real bullet. It was like a, what do they call those? Like the fake bullet or whatever. I forgot what they call those. Like they're literally like fake bullets that come
Yeah,
out.
yeah. It shoots a flash. It's a blank. It's called a blank.
Yeah, like a blank or whatever. You should not have any type of gun that could potentially kill someone. It should just be a fake
Well,
gun.
you know how he died, right? Like it wasn't even a real bullet, as far as I know. I could go back and Google it, but he died from the crow from a shrapnel, like a piece of scrap in the blank, like ripped off and killed him. And so, like it would be fun to be in action movies, but at the same time, I don't know. Like Tropic Thunder, there's lots of shooting, there's lots of whatever. Like what if one of those bullets breaks off a piece of shrapnel, a piece of like the casing, and kills someone? So it happened with The Crow. And I don't know if you know this, but they use CGI like most of the rest of the movie.
Because of that.
Yeah, because of that. Because he died, and they still had a few scenes to film. And so apparently they use CGI for the rest of his scenes for that movie. And same with what is that movie? Not Need for Speed. Oh, God, I sound like an idiot not being able to remember these movies.
Are you talking about the other kid, like Speed? The Walker, other Keanu Reeves movie?
No. Walker.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
No, the drifting movie. All the Vin Diesel's in it, The Rock's in it.
Oh my God, not.
Yeah, see, now you're doing the same thing I'm doing. Anyways, yeah.
Tokyo Drift, but it's.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look that up. What's it called?
Like, it's probably because at this point it's an irrelevant series, but they still.
Yeah, I mean, what are they on? The Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious.
Are they coming out with a new one?
I'm sure they are. Fast and Furious 25. I don't even know, but yeah, at the end of that movie too, they used his brother for the beach scene, from what I heard, because his brother looks exactly like him. And then, obviously, when he pulls up to Vin Diesel at the end with the Charlie Puth song, it's not him. I mean, it is him, but they digitally rendered it, and so there's a lot of that happens. But something like this should not happen. I think the last thing that we can point to was the Crow. That was the last, in my opinion. Like, I'm sure there maybe were other ones, but in terms of public notoriety, that was one of the last times somebody died on a set like that. And sorry about my voice. I've had really bad sore throat all day today. So
no problem. So you want to go ahead and bring up the video?
Oh yeah. Let me share this to everybody.
We'll watch the video, and then we'll, I guess, just say what we think about the video. And
this is a recent one. This is, this came from KTLA, which is local to us here. This, I think it was about 6 days ago, but it's kind of him getting interviewed and all that stuff, and we can comment about it.
On the set and said it was cold. Halls has agreed to a plea deal. Or Baldwin's lawyers may also try to fault the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed.
Yeah, so she agreed to a plea deal. Apparently she was in charge of, all the armory on the set. So, and then also the assistant director, the AD, should also be held liable to some extent. I mean, no one meant to do this, obviously, but you have to hold someone accountable, even if it's not intentional, right? So apparently, as I believe it, and I can research this a little bit more, but she handed him the gun and said it was good to go. And the thing is, he said, and I'll show you in the video here shortly, he said, I didn't pull the trigger, right? That was like the biggest thing he said. And I'm sure that's in court, he's going to continue to say that. But I read that they did a, just an investigative search on it, or whatever, like the FBI and the police departments did or sheriffs, whatever it was, did a report on it and checked the weapon to see if it could go off on its own automatically, and there was no way. They said it had to have been pulled by someone. And honestly, I think Alec Baldwin was just like, ha ha ha, you know, and boom, and then thinking like there's no way. I mean, you got to think, if you're an actor, you trust all these people, right? So the armory, you trust the directors, you trust everyone to assume this is all safe, right? And it sucks because he probably assumed that and then fired the gun, maybe even not even knowing there was even a dummy round or whatever. Like, you asked what it's called, blank or dummy round, not knowing that there was even a blank in there, you know. But you know, I handle guns. Like, I have guns, right? And I don't even take a chance. Like, every single time I pull the trigger, I either am going to try and kill someone that's hurting me, or I am checking it to make sure there is not a round in the chamber, right? You don't handle a gun. In fact, you hold it, you know, obviously with your finger over the trigger, not on the trigger, and, you know, down the side of the weapon. And because it can kill people, right? And in this case, it did, unfortunately. But you're trained, which everyone should take if they're handling weapons, is, you know, basic 101 how to handle a gun. And for someone to give you a gun and then you're like, ha ha ha, you know, and I'm sure that's probably how he was. He was probably like lighthearted and like, well, this is fun, boom. And like, he didn't expect it to go boom, but it did. And it had a real bullet in it, which I don't understand how that even gets on set. Then in my curiosity is why let's go talk to the armory, then let's go talk to whoever provided the bullets, because it's not supposed to have any live ammo in it, or live ammo, yes, but it's not supposed to have any actual, you know, penetrable device, like whatever. Like, it's not supposed to be able to kill people, right? It's a movie. So I would go back, I would step back and follow, not even just, you know, judging her, which you see on screen, but then also judging the director, the AD. And then also I would even go back to like who provided the blanks, because apparently one of them was not blank. And then that makes you wonder, like, how many are not blank? Could it be like 30? Like, and then you check that, right? Like, and how do you check that, right? So, because they're supposed to look real. But it kind of goes back to what I said, is why are there even guns in movies that are able to fire actual rounds? And somebody listening to this probably has the answer to it, but that's kind of how I look at it. Like, this was a mistake that shouldn't have happened, but I'll continue. This is where they start talking to Baldwin.
Responsible.
Real
firearms.
First of all, so she gave the plea deal. She got a plea deal. What was her plea deal? Do you know?
It's so early that I don't even think that it's been released yet. This happened like over the past day, right? So
what do you think is gonna? So she was
as far as I know, he was charged today, right? Today was the first day he was charged. Up till now, he was a free guy. I mean, he's still free technically, but you know, apparently she has a plea deal. It could have happened months ago. I don't even know what's written up in it. I could look it up, but you know, it's probably gonna be less than Alex, I'm guessing. You know, just because he was the one that actually pulled the trigger, whether or not he says he did or not. He's gonna be the one holding the smoking gun. I mean, that's like a figurative speech for a reason, but I think she'll be held responsible. And I'm sure she hates herself right now. I'm sure most people on the set are just like, what the hell happened? And you know what, from this, we'll probably learn, right? And maybe make changes and reforms to the way movies are made. I don't stop shooting guns. It's exciting. I mean, I love Yellowstone. Come on, don't ever. If all of a sudden Yellowstone didn't have guns, I'd be like, cool, but a great series. Bye. You know, like it's part of, you know, the action, right? And
Yeah,
you know,
there just should be a very easy way to have a fake gun that nothing comes out of it. I don't really see why, you know, they just don't have fake guns that look real. Like you don't need to see the bullet come out or whatever. But yeah, so real quick, what was her position again? What was it called? Like
the armor. She's the
the
armor.
armor. So she's the person who's to make sure that the gun is good to go.
Yeah, she brings all the firearms on set. She is supposed to check everything, check off every box, make sure no one's going to get hurt. And in the case of the Crow, like I said before, that was not the armor's fault. That was, as I understand it, a fragment of the casing of the projectile. It became a projectile and it killed him. Right. So like it makes me like not want to ever do action movies if I was an actor. Like you're getting shot at and you're like, boom, boom, and you have to pretend you're dead. I'd be like, dude, what if one of those fragments of the casing comes out and kills me? Like, or
well,
like,
especially if you're doing your own stunts. I mean, honestly, like Tom Cruise or someone who does their own stunts, like if you're doing your own stunts, you
Keanu
really
Reeves,
could get
man.
hurt. Keanu Reeves, yeah, is a better example. But real quick, how much? And if you want, we can go over this after we watch the video, because I want to get to that. But how much time do you think she'll end up getting? How much time do you think Alec Baldwin will end up getting?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, dude, but I would say Alec Baldwin, like I said,
I think I heard it's 15 years. The
no,
less.
no. Again, you have great lawyers, you have a lot of money. But for Alec Baldwin, I heard anywhere between 18 months to 5 years. For her, I'd probably guess less than 2. You know, it's a plea deal, so anybody can Google right now and figure out what her plea deal was. But if I were to guess, it's probably less because her finger wasn't on the trigger. Her fingerprints weren't on the weapon, right? Like no one forced him to do that, right? He did it, right? So it's not her. It's her mistake for not checking those rounds and making sure they're all blanks. But then I would, like I said, I would still go back to the provider of those rounds, whatever brand and whatever, you know, provider. I'm sure for movie sets, they do contracts with, you know, companies. I would figure out like where the hell that thing came from. Right. Because let's
move on though. I don't want to get stuck on this too long. So let's just watch the video and then we can say whatever we'll end it.
She will be charged with involuntary manslaughter. Attorneys for Helena Hutchins' family have released a video reenactment that shows the deadly chain of events.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Prosecutors say Baldwin wasn't just an actor, he was a producer of the film, and there had been multiple safety issues involving guns.
I think it was the totality of the
I kind of want to watch that reenactment
really
again real
fast
quick.
and loose set, and that's
all right. I'll reverse it. You want to see it again?
It was pretty quick, but yeah, I just want to see if it shows what he was doing exactly.
I thought it was just outside them messing around, but apparently
I thought it was outside too. I think that it was during shooting, right? Or I'm not sure about that, but I did think it was outside.
But if it was during shooting, no pun intended, then why would he be held responsible for that? Right? If it's outside of it, I heard like he grabbed the gun or whatever and was handed the gun and was like, oh, you know, and did not know it was going to go off.
Yeah, if that's the case, that's kind of a different story. If he's not even supposed to be acting it out, he's just kind of like messing with the gun and he shoots it. Like that's makes it more his bad. Yeah,
that's how I understand it. So I don't know. This is what KTLA here in Los Angeles 5 News. So this is a reenactment.
It looks like they're filming because they're all dressed up, but I guess they would already be all dressed up either way, maybe. So let's watch the.
Attorneys for Helena Hutchins' family have released a video reenactment that shows the deadly chain of events. Prosecutors say Baldwin wasn't just an actor, he was a producer of the film.
Okay.
And there had been multiple.
So what I'm seeing from that is someone handed him a gun with a mask on, which means they're not obviously in the filming. They're not an actor. Someone hands him a gun. I'm assuming the armor hands him a gun, and then I don't know. Like, we'll see in the movie. I mean, they're not going to include that in the movie, obviously. But was that a scene? Was that, and it shows her getting shot and her like falling back, and both of them, Baldwin and whoever the secondary person was, the other male, kind of like laying her down onto the inside the church or whatever that is. It looks like a church with pews. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I'm sure a lot will come out in the trial. But
is there any more to that video or no?
Yeah.
Or was that
safety issues involving guns?
I think it was the totality of the circumstances, that this was a really fast and loose set, and that nobody was doing their job.
Lawyers for the family of Helena Hutchins say they welcome the decision by the district attorney to prosecute. In a statement, they say, "It is a comfort to the family that in New Mexico, no one is above the law. We support the charges." One big question, once charges are filed later this month, will Baldwin actually be arrested, and will he have to appear in court? That's not clear. In New Mexico, sometimes defendants can take part remotely for their first appearance in court.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for me, is that no one is above the law. Like, just because he's some famous actor, it doesn't matter. They should prosecute him just the same as anybody else who it happened to. That's probably the biggest thing that I would say. I don't want him to see him get off easy or anything like that. But at the same time, they should be fair with him. Like, I don't think they should overcharge him, but yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do like house arrest or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it was an accident. I get that. And I know he felt remorseful. Like, I've watched him, and like, you can kind of tell if someone's remorseful, like genuinely, or if it's like they're just playing their cards, right? And every interview I've watched of him, he's usually been pretty remorseful, and just to the families, and like, I can't believe this happened, right? And I don't know. I don't think he's a villain. He might suck and be a dick, in general in life, like to people, but like, I don't think he did that on purpose.
I don't either. But so, unless you have another video, I want to move on to the.
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay.
Yes, this is kind of his interview and everything, and it's kind of like at the scene.
Said 15 months after the tragedy, that question is still unanswered. Even as prosecutors say Alec Baldwin will face felony charges and up to 6.5 years in prison.
I turned and I went like this to stay in the gun, and she was there, and the gun went off.
So they just said it there, 6.5 years in prison.
A bombshell.
Up to.
They'll charge Baldwin and the film's armorer with involuntary manslaughter, saying if they'd done their jobs, Helena Hutchins would be alive today.
Under our laws in New Mexico, it doesn't matter where the bullets come from. What matters is that they ended up in the gun.
I have a lot of things to say about that.
The devastating turn in the rocky but wildly successful career of one of America's most recognized.
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to my point. To me, it does matter where the bullets came from, right? I don't necessarily agree with the fact that like it doesn't matter where it comes from, because like
why not?
Why?
I mean, yeah.
Why? Because someone didn't do their job. And you have to kind of go up the train or the channel in terms of like how that bullet even got there, right? And that's all that matters, is that one bullet. It doesn't matter about any other rounds. Like, I'm sure they were 99.999 safe, but what about that 0.000000001? Because that killed someone, right? And so then I would go back. I would obviously, Alec is the front and center of this. Then his armorer, she's responsible for this. Then the director. Then, where did you source the bullets from? Like, I'm sure that's probably all being investigated, because I'm sure his armor assumed, which is never a good thing to say, but assumed everything was okay, right? Like, yeah, these are all dummy rounds. These are all blanks, right? Yeah, it's fine. And it wasn't. So where did it get mixed up? I would even go back to hold, Remington or whatever it was liable for the fact that they provided rounds. I'm not saying Remington, I don't know who provided the rounds, but providing rounds that had an actual bullet in it, not a blank. And so a live round. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on that.
So what you're saying is that one real bullet got mixed up with the blanks or whatever, and that they should be responsible for that, right?
There's a lot of responsibility, and it goes all the way from Alec up to.
Yeah. There's a lot of responsibility. They also should be responsible for mixing up they put in a bad bullet or a real bullet, I guess, when they shouldn't have. Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, the armorer's job is to make sure that doesn't happen, right? It's to check every single round.
She was supposed to check every round, and she didn't. Yeah, or if she did,
at the same time, you're getting provided actual rounds, or an actual round that killed someone. So I don't know. Like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a district attorney, but there's a lot of questions to be asked here, and that's why it's actually pretty interesting. So